I want to go into the ending sequence, and I don't mean to go on a monologue here, but do this and I'll shut the fuck up. But the ending sequence is just so good. I think we all kind of agree with that. And Igor, they finally he drives back Annie. They confirm really a quick detail too.
Fuck.
I don't mean to go on a monologue here, but
Think that Chris and Zach did a great job of clearing that up because
yeah,
in
why
the
I was
on the
laughing.
plane, yeah, on the plane when they're sitting there, the dad is like, "Oh, you're starting work right when you get back this week, or right when you get back next week, or whatever," and was like a very stern, like father figure, and then you see just like the complete 180 of uh the actual dynamic of that family when Annie's standing there yelling at the mother. So I was confused as well, but thank you guys, you did a great job of clearing that up.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
That I want to go into the ending sequence, and I don't mean to go on a monologue here, but do this and I'll shut the fuck up. But the ending sequence is just so good. I think we all kind of agree with that. And Igor, they finally he drives back Annie. They confirm really a quick detail too when they're on the plane back. Like she's sleeping, he like pulls out like his sweater and like like puts it over her so she's like more comfortable. Igor drives back with Annie, and they confirm that they can stay one more. She could stay one more night in the mansion before she has to get the fuck out. And they're sitting in the mansion, they're smoking weed, watching TV, and it's like a little bit like finally like the dust has settled a little bit in a way because it's just been absolute chaos for like however many days that was. And as Igor is trying to talk to her, she's still like disconnected in a way. Like she's not really feeling it per se, I guess would be the way to do it. We learn it's Igor's birthday, the day that he was like chasing Ivan around. They finally feel like it feels like a rare moment with Annie where they're like talking about their names and he says touche instead of touche, and she like finally is able to like kind of like let her guard down slightly but not fully. um and that's when they get into the argument about like, oh, like you assaulted me, and Igor is just explaining like I was trying to protect you from yourself in a way so you wouldn't get hurt. And she then like goes and says like, if what's his name wasn't there, you would. And he was just like, I wouldn't have. Why? I'm not a. Like that's that like the same thing when he was sitting at the diner, Zach, where he was just like, what do you mean? Like I don't deal drugs. I'm not a drug dealer, or I'm not. When he learns what means, like he's like, I'm not gay. Like he just is very practical with everything. And they finally like have like that like little back and forth dialogue, and she's like, oh really, why would. And he was like, she's like, no, bitch. Which is when I like was sitting there listening to when the dialogue like first started was
She
going, and then
also
she hits him with that final like knockout punch. Like I was like, that was hilarious. Go ahead, sorry.
she also hits him with like the eyes line too,
Yeah.
which made that planted a seed for me um at the very end of this movie, but continue the rest of the scene.
Yeah. Then she like comes down the stairs and like throws a blanket at him, which I thought I like viewed as like maybe like a little playful, like breaks the tension like a little bit after she calls him like. And the next morning they wake up, she beautiful shot, like looking out over the view, and like she starts to pack her things and she's taking the elevator down. It opens and Igor's sitting there. Quiet car ride, no dialogue, just the sounds of the city. As they're like walking out of the bank, you hear the train going by, and like it's just like it finally like the movie is just like slowing down enough where it's just like you can like finally breathe almost. And then he pulls up to her apartment. She starts to get out, and Igor stops her and hands her a ring, and he just goes, the ring that Ivan gave her, and just goes, "Don't tell Toros," and just like pops out of the car. And he goes and grabs her luggage and pulls her up to the top, and she stays sitting in the car for a moment. And it's just this scene is just, it feels so long in a way, but not in a bad way. I don't mean that to say it bad. It's just quiet. You hear the car running, you hear the windshield wipers, and all you just see is just like the snow falling with Igor with his hood up, and then he comes back in. And again, this is just like the comedy a little bit in this movie, where it's just like such a heavy moment, but he comes back and he's like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "This car is very you." And he's like, "Do you like it?" She's like, "No." And then he's like, "It's my grandmother's." Like, just throws that in for like whatever reason that is. And then she looks at him, like takes off her jacket, gets on top of him, and they start to have sex. And when he goes to kiss her, she pulls away and starts hitting him, and then completely breaks down in his arms, and it just cuts to black, and all you hear is just the car sound as the credits are rolling, which was just haunting in a way. And I really, again, like making a brutal spot of the movie but still being able to like throw jokes in is a little bit. And I want to throw my interpretation of the ending out to you guys, if that's cool. And then I figured we can bounce off me if you agree or disagree. I also want to hear your interpretation of the ending too. And I wrote it, so I'm just going to read it verbatim. When they're having sex at the end and Igor tries to kiss her, she pulls away and starts crying. At that moment, the entire like movie finally felt like it was crashing down on Annie at once, because I think that the realization was that Igor actually liked her. He gives her the ring back, not as a transaction, not as a payment, not because he wants something. He's literally just doing it as a kind gesture, which in Annie's world, that completely breaks the rules that she understands. For Annie, the physical intimacy has always been transactional. Every interaction we've seen up to this point has had a price tag attached to it: attention, sex, companionship. It's all part of the job. Even with Vanya, what felt emotional was still rooted in fantasy and survival. But Igor, we talked about it the entire time, he's different. Throughout the movie, he looks at her with genuine interest and quiet affection. He listens to her, protects her without trying to control her, and she doesn't know how to process that. Even the point that you said, Noah, where she's calling someone that has quote unquote size, but that says more about Annie's worldview than anybody else's. And Zach, you said this too. Like, women have a different perception on this. She interprets closeness as danger, and that's the only version of male attention that she's learned to expect, which you've said already. And so when she tries to kiss her, it's a forced realization that this shit is not transactional anymore. He's not buying anything. He's not demanding anything from her. He just wants connection at the end of the day. And you guys have hinted and alluded to it throughout, where you look at him as kind of being the guy on top. I view it a little differently, because I felt as if this was a moment where she can't meet him there. He'll never be that guy to her. And that's why she breaks down, because it's not about sex. It's about the moment that she understands that this is real intimacy that exists, and she doesn't know how to receive it. And the fantasy with Vanya was safe to her because it was fake. And Igor's sincerity is terrifying to her because it's real. So the ending isn't romantic closure, it's emotional exposure. For the first time in the film, Annie isn't performing, she's not negotiating. It's not a survival situation. It's just something real. It's a real situation that she finally realizes, and it just completely overwhelms her, and that's why she crashes out. So that's my interpretation of the ending. Do you guys think I'm spot on? And the first part I want to get at is, you guys all said that you saw him finishing it on top. I felt him finishing as we talked about it. Nice guys finish last, and he finished last.
I would
No,
say that
Oh, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead,
I
Chris.
was just, I would say that I agree and disagree. I think that you hit a lot of points spot on. The only reason why I would say that he finished on top is because he seems like the only character secure enough in himself to like there's just more normalcy there, maybe, like, and confidence of who he is as a man. Like, I personally, like, if I got to see everything that Annie was going through this situation with the family, that's, like, not a woman that I would pursue. But, like, he kinda chooses to pursue that, and so even though I think you hit it spot on when you said it's not romantic closure, it's emotional exposure. Like, I love that, it's perfectly said. But I think that's part of the reason why he's on top, because he just seems he just seems like a winning character in the sense of, like, he's not really falling apart. You know, she's falling apart, Yvonne falls apart, the parents are a mess. Toros, you know, his life got super screwed up, right? Igor's there and is kind of just like, all right, like, what's up? Like, I'm here and I'm here for you. And, you know, he might not get what he wants from her, like, in that moment, right? And the film ends there, so we don't know where the story continues. But that's so I like agree with everything you said up until you see him as nice guys finish last. I kind of see it as like he's secure enough in himself and knows what he wants, and that's, you know, very masculine qualities, and he is able to like hold that, and that's like his through line throughout the entire film. So, but yeah, I think you hit it spot on.
Noah?
Before I talk about like how I interpreted the ending, I wanted to kind of go back to what um, Annie said during the scene where there's just like sitting in the living room and right before she goes to bed. When she says that he has eyes, for some reason that held like a lot of like thought in my mind as I was going through this last scene where they're sitting in the car and she gets on top of him. Um when he tries to go and kiss her and she pulls away, he almost maybe I misunderstood this, but it almost looked like for a split second he grabbed her very firmly, and
Yes.
I thought that that was going to be that moment coming full circle. So I was all over the map when I saw how this transpired, and I was like, "Holy shit!" He's then she
Not
just
to
breaks
laugh.
down and starts
I'm not
crying.
trying to laugh, but that is
I know.
just hearing that is jarring. But go ahead.
I literally thought that that was going to happen. I thought that this guy
Good
had
point.
been like the soft, like consistent piece of this movie throughout the entire thing, and there would finally be a moment that of weakness for him, and that something could put like a complete twist in this entire movie, and he just ends up outside of her apartment. I thought that's how that movie was going to end, and
Would have been crazy.
would have been fucking nuts,
Yeah.
but completely the opposite of what ends up happening, where she just breaks down and starts crying. So I'm kind of glad it didn't end with that type of scene. But
Me too.
I thought a lot of the similar things that you and Chris did, but um, I I interpreted this scene as like the emotional connection versus the sexual connection. And anytime, pretty much kind of what you were saying, anytime that somebody was giving her something, affection, attention, money, whatever, it always resulted in a physical transaction on her end. And Igor was there emotionally the entire movie for her. And that carried on throughout this very last scene where she just didn't know how to handle somebody actually caring about her and not necessarily wanting to just have sex with her. And I think that it obviously leaves a lot of room for interpretation based off of how this ends, but I do think that it was more so a more so of a emotional connection versus a sexual connection that she finally had with somebody. Her breaking down crying was the fact that she's never had something like that and didn't know how to handle it.
So like I think you guys are all there, and yet, and maybe this is me putting too much of my own personal experience into it, because admittedly, like when you say you saw parts of me and Igor, like, dude, I watched the movie too. I knew who I was watching. I was like, oh shit, which is like,
Yeah.
from the, I never had a doubt in my mind that Igor was never going to hurt her. From the
Yeah.
moment he says hi to her, because like even in the when they're sitting on the couch and he's like hi, like it's right there that he already can tell this is going to be the worst day of your life, and he's like, I'm here, like, and I'm going to get you through it. Where I'll present a rebuttal off the bat with the nice guys finish last. One, Igor's not nice. He's kind. Niceness and kindness are not the same thing. Niceness is faked. Niceness is an act. Kindness and compassion is a behavior. It's a way of life. And Igor has that. Like he doesn't need to be nice. He knows he's dangerous. He knows he could take control of her if he wanted to.
I guess what I mean by that, just to let you know, and then you can bounce off of it, is in a way, and maybe he's not. In a way, he's chasing the girl. In a way, he is chasing the girl, maybe directly, indirectly, whatever that may be, is how I viewed it. And I just felt like as and that's how I took it at the end, where it was just like she's never gonna like that guy. And that's where I think that he might not lose like who he is as a person because he's a stand-up dude, but he is never Annie is unobtainable to him.
And also too, like, and again, this is where maybe there's a disconnect. Igor doesn't finish last because he's the only one not trying to finish.
Yeah.
Like he's the only one who's not there to have sex. Igor doesn't like her. He's at work. Like it's like
He definitely
I don't know if
No,
he
no,
definitely does like her.
no,
he
yeah, I know.
definitely likes her.
Bro, he
Igor's
tried to kiss her.
Igor's a loving guy, and Igor doesn't try to kiss her on his own. When she initiates sex, he tries to kiss her before she as she's putting it in, because he's like, you're not gonna have sex with me without kissing me. Igor's like, I'm not actually trying to have sex with you. If Igor goes home that day and never touches her, Igor's fine. That's a job. That was another day in Igor's life.
Yeah.
Like
I agree
like
with the fact of the matter that I think that he sits in a sweet spot where he's clearly into Annie. I feel like the underlying story of the story is the love, but that Annie and Igor are developing in a way. And I'm with you. I don't think that he needs that validation, let's say. But I think he's probably like, it'd be pretty cool
I know
if this could happen.
I think he's into it and he's open to it. But
Yeah.
Igor is a man who needs nothing. So like he does not require her affection back. That's why he can, what she calls eyes is really just presence.
Yeah.
He's actually there. She's not used to anyone being there. They're always looking for something. And Igor's looking at her. The conversation they have, Igor calls her Anora. He sees her. She's not Annie. She's making fun of his name on his birthday after he just spent his entire birthday chasing around some shithead for some girl who walked herself into a terrible situation. And he's like, I don't really care. And he's also like, yeah, like you're a person too, right? Like you know, like you can be seen. You know that I'm capable of loving you because you're capable of being loved. Like you don't have to sell yourself. You realize that, right? And it doesn't need to be me. I'm not gonna touch you unless you want me to.
Yeah.
Like it's like I'm good. Like I mean, it's like I think you're beautiful. I think there's a real person there, and her name is Anora, and I hope you realize that one day. And realistically, with the ring, that was a real proposal, because Yvonne giving Anora a ring means nothing because money is of no value to Yvonne. Igor could have kept that ring for himself and sold it. He is a man that has not much, and yet he gives her a ring, and it means more than anything because there's actual value there. He is giving away something of value. Yvonne never did that. Nothing he gave her had any value to it at all. So what Igor's really he's exemplifying is this is what actual intimacy is. This is what an actual proposal is like. I could keep this ring for myself, but I have no use for it and it belongs to you. It's yours. Don't tell Toros. You know what I mean? And then like the Igor giving her the ring means that much more because she also knows she doesn't deserve it. And she's like, what are you doing? I have put you through hell on your birthday. I have made fun of you. I have called you all the names in the book, and the only thing you've done is have a sense of morality. And I have been terrible to you. And yet you will still hold space for me. You will still protect me. You will still give back to me to make sure that I leave this situation a little bit better than I entered it. And she can't do that because she can't accept love because she does not love herself. She does not love Anora. She's okay with being Annie, but she does not like Anora. And she does not believe that anyone else could actually like her either. And what Igor is showing her is that you are worth being around for no other reason than the fact that you exist. And that's enough. And she can't handle that. That's why she it's that first time she feels seen, and it's the most terrifying thing in the world. I mean, she only knows how to reciprocate through sex, and the eye contact and the closeness, she can't handle it. I mean, she breaks down because her identity has been shattered. She realizes she has no power around this man. She cannot manipulate him with her body, and she melts. Like there's nothing left, and her ego dies. I mean, she goes through an identity death in front of him, and he doesn't take advantage of it. He's just there. And when she finally takes her clothes off with him, she truly comes undone because she seeks refuge in the only man who can hold her, and that's the warrior. That's Igor. That's the man who knows how to fight with a smile on his face. Like he needs for nothing. And the biggest pleasure he gets from the world is by providing a safer world for the people in it. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like, whether it be a personal relationship or not, like Igor's getting hit in the face and she's punching him and he grabs her, but not to protect himself because she's more likely to break her hand on his face than he is to be hurt. And I don't know if you guys ever had to like restrain a woman and you're like, you're gonna hurt yourself. You need to stop. And like, and they don't understand, but it's in that moment where he grabs her and she's like, and that's when she also is under the impression, here he goes. He's going to do what I know men do. And he just looks at her and he's there with her.
I think that, and I'm not going to speak for Noah and Chris, but I can speak for me and you, where we have floated in this space before with women, where we have, I think, have been in very similar situations with women where, yes, we're there, and does it affect us? No, but that's because we're dead inside, and we've seen it all. I mean, it's just facts, and we've seen it all, and really, the way I took this interaction was I've done this interaction so many times where I have never came out on that other side of that like interaction as it being like, and maybe this is an overstatement, of value. And it's just been very like I was like I feel like that he was being used as like a vessel in a way. And that was, and it's not fair to him, but he's fine with that because he's done seen it all. and it's not going to affect him like that heavy, but just because it doesn't affect him that heavy doesn't mean that it deserves to happen to him. Like you said, he allows things to happen, but that doesn't make it okay. That's why I feel like that's why I said that he like quote unquote loses in a way, because after they depart in my head, that's it. Like that's it for the interaction, and for guys like Igor, she will just become like another memory for him, like in a way. That's how I felt his character being, at least.
I mean, I would.
And
I
like I said, it might not affect him like deep down, like, and it's just like, you know what I mean? Like guys like us, we've seen it all. Like screw it, like we'll just keep it pushing.
I
But like
think
that's how I took it.
I don't necessarily think you're wrong in the sense that Igor is a vessel, but that's what he is.
Yeah.
He's a tool. He is a means to an end, and he's a sword. He is a sword that is sheathed until it's unsheathed, and then it's used as a weapon. But that weapon that can kill is also meant to protect. And even though a sword is scary to a woman always feels better behind a sword, knowing that a sword is there. That's when she can be her most powerful. Is knowing that that's when women can really speak up and be a powerful woman. Is she's like, I can speak because my husband will fucking kill you if you do anything about it. And in that moment, I actually think Anora feels for the first time this is what love is supposed to be, even
Yeah.
whether she loves Igor or not. And I don't even
I
necessarily,
agree with that.
I don't necessarily think Igor's in love with Annie or Anora. He just sees that she is lovable.
Okay.
And because Igor strikes me as the kind of guy where he's like, I've only known you for 2 days. Like it's like,
That's
like
fair.
Igor's a pretty sensible dude, and he doesn't make moves
See,
on her. Like she she
I took their
initiates.
first I took their like ever first reaction, their interaction was like, for Igor personally, like love at first sight. Like where he saw her and it cuts to him as soon as he sees her. And I felt like in that moment was like boom, like that's love at first sight for Igor. Like that's how strongly he feels about her. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's how
I
I took that.
That's what I picked up on too. Was I do think that he loved her by the end of the film, and whether or not, but Zach, I see where you're coming from. Like he's a sensible guy. Like I don't think he's ready to hop into a relationship right away. Kind of feeling, but I do think that there was a level of love there, and I think that that's why he wins at the end of the movie because I think that he has the best shot at being with Annie, right? Because most of the time Annie's dealing with somebody that's, hey, I want to hang out with you because I'm going to pay you for it. Or, we're going to go to this place because you're going to have sex with me. Whereas Igor was just like, hey, I'm here and I see you. And so even though it doesn't end with, a happy ending of them being together, we'll never know that. Maybe she goes back to the club next day and is like in that same fast life rat race. Like we don't know. But I think that he wins because he has the best shot at being with her. Because most people that she's interacting with, it's transactional. So I think Zach, I really like what you said about just him being there to see her for the first time and how scary that is for her. I think that that's what that breakdown is all about. Like that's my interpretation of that ending. Is like when she breaks down, she's scared because now she's like, oh, I actually have to be vulnerable now, right? Like throughout the course of the entire film, she's putting on this like intense outer shell. And you see that through her body language, her vulgar language, her attitude, her, the way she like just treats and interacts with other people. It's Annie, not Anora. But at the end, we finally see Anora come out because she's like, I'm receiving something that I would receive maybe from a father figure, right? Somebody that's saying, I'm accepting you for who you are, and I'm here for you. I'm in your corner. I'm here to protect you and provide for you, right? I didn't see the giving of the ring as a proposal. I didn't see that as Igor expecting like, oh, we're about to like lock in now. I saw it as like, hey, I was able to snag this gift. I felt like this family really screwed you over, and I'm giving you some bread to like
Yeah.
take care of yourself as like a, you know, reward for having to deal with all of that.
Mhm.
And I just thought that that was so interesting because he really was just a giving heart with expecting nothing in return. And I think that because he gave her the ring and he was like, okay, well now I gotta fuck him. But he's like, well, you really don't have to, right? And that sex scene was shot very different than all of the others. The other sex scenes were very vulgar, nudity, and I get it. They were outside and in a car, and maybe that was the reason why it was a little bit different. But that was the first sex scene with no nudity, right? So that was the cleanest shot. And I don't know, it kind of tied off this really nice ending of who Igor is as a person of like here, protector, provider, and Annie being like, oh gosh, like you're actually somebody I could be vulnerable with. And she realizes that moment and is just flooded with those emotions. And no, I thought it was interesting your interpretation of the ending because I thought the same thing. I had to pause and rewind because I was like, is he choking her out right now? I was like,
Bro,
dude, I was your biggest fan, bro, for the whole movie.
I really thought I was gonna have to do a complete like
Yeah, I was hurt.
re-thought process of how I thought about this guy.
Yeah, I was totally hurt, and then I let the scene play out, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Wow, yeah, he's actually just, like, the best guy ever," because she's been through hell. He was there for her the whole time, and at the end of the day, wasn't like, "I don't blame you. I don't look at you as a service worker, as a sex worker, as somebody of a different class, somebody that has no money, somebody that lives in poverty. I don't see you as that. I see you as Anora." And that's what caused her breakdown.
I also want to
Does it-
add
Yeah,
too
no, I was about to say,
that
do you have anything else, Noah?
I think that some of this breaking down too wasn't necessarily, I don't think it was all 100% from like the emotional connection and that we're all talking about. I think that some of that has to be from kind of what you were talking about, Steve, where it was like, uh, I have my meal ticket out. I think some of that has to come from like the thought process of like, holy crap, I was so close to making it. I
Yep.
was so close to finally like getting out of the scenario that I'm in. And it all just went away at the snap of a finger. And the emotional like distress that that would put you through as a person that is battling day to day would, I would imagine, would warrant a response like that.
And like I think, I mean, Steve and Noah particularly, I think you guys can attest to this. Like, I mean, I have a very strong, father figure in my life, but like I was raised by women. Like I have a sister, I have a mom, I was raised by my grandma, my great aunt, my great grandma, like all around a lot of women. You guys remember me when I was little? Like I was the king of the friend zone. I was like their gay buddy.
Still are.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, facts. Um, I've owned it, but like I've also worked in a strip club. Like I have a different kind of understanding of women, I think, while still being humble. That one of the biggest questions I kept asking myself in this entire movie was, when is Annie going to cry? I was like,
Yeah.
she needs to cry. I'm like, when is she going to cry? And she doesn't, because Annie's a stone cold fucking killer, but Honora's a human being, and really she needed that space to cry safely. And Igor he's providing that in that moment. And realistically, and again, this is why, one, I just don't think the nice guy finishes last, but also I think it was a huge victory, because what do Igor translates? It's a name that means warrior. What do warriors do? They fight for the good of the world. They fight and die and lay down their lives completely so that they can leave the world a little bit better than they found it, potentially for people that are not only they're not even their kids. The biggest victory in this movie is truly the fact that Igor showed Annie that there are still good men.
Okay, I can see that.
And like he's fine with that. That is way more than him having sex. Like it's showcasing that, like, no, this is real. Real people exist. Real love is a real thing. The world is not just out to hurt you. I know it might seem like that, but it's not the case. And yeah, and the people that do that most often are also the people that get hurt the worst. They get forgotten. They finish last, whatever. But when Igor goes home at night and looks at himself in the mirror, he goes, no, like I showed that girl that one, she can be Anora and that's okay and that's enough. And that good men do exist. And that's a huge win. That's a W.
Okay. I think I would say it's an L just based off experience. But yeah, I mean, if you just wanted to sit here and just be on a moral high ground about how you respect women more than us, then you could have done that at the beginning of the fucking podcast.
Yeah, you should have started off with, I don't condone anything that happens in this movie. But
I mean, hey, listen. We all have our traits. Women have their downfalls, but
so do we have any?
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring